So in this video, I'll be breaking down Kloolie's $120 million content distribution strategy. Now, this has allowed them to generate hundreds of millions of views across social media, and they've become the most viral startup ever in history, and they've absolutely flipped traditional marketing on their head, and they've revolutionized marketing, and a lot of companies are going to be following their steps in the next couple of months, in the next couple of years. I've taken a complete deep dive into their whole content distribution strategy, and I'm going to break it all down for you today in this video. I'm going to give you the exact blueprint to what they're doing. I myself have generated over 400 million views for our clients using this exact same content distribution strategy, so I know a thing or two about it. So let's just get right into it. So their content and social media strategy is made up of UGC and clipping or short form content distribution. And in this video, I'm not going to be covering the UGC strategy, but I'm going to be covering their clipping and content distribution strategy. So it's made up of three parts. I'm going to be explaining three parts in this video. The first part is Roy, which is the Kloolie co-founder and CEO, but Roy is very much the face of Kloolie, and the whole content distribution strategy revolves around him and sort of his personal brand. And then I'm going to cover the distribution strategy. I'm going to go into a complete deep dive on this. As you can see here, I'm going to be explaining it all. And then I'm also going to be explaining the biggest threat to their social media success and giving the solution to this. So I've worked with this exact same content distribution model that they're working with right now. And there's one big problem that we faced, and it led to posting inconsistency, very low quality content being put out, high editor churn, and no control over content and the content team that we're running. I'm going to be giving the solution to this because this is definitely a problem that they're going to face if they're not facing it already. So let's get right into the first part, which is Roy, which is the co-founder and CEO, as I was talking about earlier, and he is the face of the brand. So there's a few things about Roy that make this strategy so successful. The first one is how clip conscious Roy is. So if you watch one of Roy's podcasts, or if you watch some of the content that Kloolie and the rest of the team put out, you'll see how clip conscious he is and how aware he is of creating a viral moment in the content that he creates. Now, what clip consciousness is, if you don't know, it's like constantly thinking in a way of clipping. So if he's on a podcast, he's going to be thinking, how can I say something in such a specific way that it will go viral on social media? So maybe he'll purposely say something because it will act as a good hook on social media and it will go viral. So he specifically says certain things because it will go viral on social media. And that is very, very important, because without that, the rest of it doesn't matter. Because if that initial content isn't good, this strategy would be blown out the window already and it wouldn't work. So he's also quite controversial or polarizing. He got kicked out of Colombia or something like that, and he's kind of now created himself into this villain who got kicked out of Colombia. Now he's creating this tool that you can cheat on anything with, which is actually Kloolie. He's kind of made him his brand and his perception online kind of as this controversial guy and this very polarizing guy who's also kind of like a tech villain, because they're taking such a non-traditional approach towards their marketing and their company. And then the third thing is that he does is he films a lot of content. This whole strategy, this whole content distribution strategy would not work if he didn't film enough content, because if he doesn't have content, then his team wouldn't have enough content to distribute across social media through these clips. So his priority when it comes to content is filming a lot of content, going a lot of podcasts. You'll see if you search Roy Lee podcast, he's been on so many podcasts. The reason he goes into the podcast is not necessarily for the podcast itself, but because of the clips that he can get from that, and he sees the big return from the clips, not necessarily from the podcast itself. So yeah, that makes up why Roy is such a perfect fit to be the face of this brand and why they see so much success on social media. So now the second thing I want to talk about, and this is where the real source is their content distribution strategy. And this is purely organic content. There's no paid ads involved in this. This is only revolved around organic content. So the first step to this is their long form media library. And by the way, this content distribution strategy has allowed them to generate hundreds of millions of views across social media. So the first step is the long form media library. And this is what I was talking about earlier about Roy filming a lot of content, because this is arguably the most important part. Without this content, the rest of the strategy would not work. He's been on so many, and he even has more of these random kind of content that he posts. As you can see, it's just like kind of random clips, maybe his team interviewing him or his co-founder in this case. As I said before, the reason he goes into this podcast is actually for the clips. It's not necessarily for the podcast. So they have a Discord server then, which is just full of clippers. Now, clippers are people that will come into his long form videos and find the best moments within these long form videos, edit the clips, and then post them across social media. So as you can see on this video right here, Cluely CEO on why all his employees must have girlfriends. Now this is pretty controversial. If you're scrolling on Instagram and you see Cluely CEO on why all his employees must have girlfriends, you're going to be like, what? This is pretty crazy of like a $120 million company to be talking about the employees must have girlfriends. And it just shows how they flipped this whole traditional approach upside down, and it's clearly working for them. Like for example on this one, $120 million CEO and why all his employees must get Hinge Premium. Now again, this is all pretty controversial things and things that most people won't say and things that are kind of out of the ordinary. So this is why the strategy is so successful. It's because of the things that he's willing to say. But there's also good stuff like $30 million AI startup CEO shares his marketing playbook. So it's very much a mix of things. Some things are more serious than others. But the main point of this is that the clippers come into these long form videos like the podcast and they find the best clips from within these podcasts, and they post these clips, or they edit these clips and they post these clips across social media. So now this is why it's so important for Roy to be posting so much content and going on to so many podcasts, is because if he didn't go on a lot of podcasts, then there would be a limited amount of clips that the editors and his team of clippers would be able to put out and would actually be able to edit. But because he goes on to so many podcasts, and then he goes into one a week, he said, or one every 2 weeks, the team never really runs out of content to clip, and that is super important. And what this clipping allows them to do is take one clip and make multiple variations of that one clip. So let's say from this clip, for example, the $120 million CEO and why all his employees get Hinge Premium. Now, I've seen this clip multiple times across social media, and the reason is because every single editor or every single clipper who's actively editing and actively clipping for Cluely will probably create the same clip but with their own editing style. Maybe they'll structure the clip in a different way, they'll add a different title, they'll edit in a whole different style, in their own style. As you can see, these two editing styles aren't the same. So this editor who edits in this style will edit the same clip but in his own editing style. So what this allows them to do is take one clip and then just generate many different variations of their clip, because each editor is editing the clip in a different way, so they can maximize the potential of each clip and generate millions and millions of views from a single clip. So each editor edits their clips and then they post those clips to the accounts that they run on social media. Now these are what we call sub accounts. So this is the Cluely main account, but then there's all these other accounts: use.cluely, try Cluely, Cluely social, Cluely clips. If you go into TikTok, Cluely clips first, Q clips, Cluely Vault, more of Cluely. Now these are sub accounts, and these are run by the clippers or the short form editors in the Cluely Discord, who are part of their team. So each editor, let's say for example, editor edits 2 videos a day. They'll edit 2 of these clips a day, and they'll post those 2 clips to the account that they run on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. So if they edit 2 videos a day and they post those 2 videos to 3 different platforms, then that's already 6 posts a day. Now let's say you have 10 people doing this, then that's already 60 posts every single day that you're putting out without you really having to do any extra work, because all Roy has to do really is film these podcasts. He doesn't have to edit any of these clips. That's handled by the editors and the short form editors. So how does this process work? Exactly what I just said. The short form editor edits 2 videos a day, for example. It could be 1 video a day, it could be 3 videos a day, and then they post those videos that they edited to the accounts that they run. So for example, one editor would run all the accounts called Cluely Clips. So he'd have an account, or this editor would have an account on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube under the handle Cluely Clips, and they post their clips to those accounts. As you can see, if you look on this, Cluely Social and Cluely Social. So this will be run by the same guy. I'm guessing it's run by Hiroto, if that's the guy's name. So now how do they pay the editors, and what is the payment structure behind this whole operation? So the editors get paid on a CPM. So what a CPM is, cost per milli, so cost per 1,000. So the editors get paid X amount of dollars per 1,000 views. So let's just say, for example, the editors get paid $1 per 1,000 views. So let's say the editor then generates 5 million views in a month. Then the editor will get paid $5,000. 5 million views at a $1 CPM is $5,000. If the editors are only being paid on performance and they're not being paid per video, they're not being paid a retainer, this could lead to inconsistency, low quality edits, and high editor churn. So the reason is, and this is not just stuff I ChatGPT'd or just made up. These are the problems that I faced working with the team using this performance CPM model. So firstly, inconsistency. If you're being paid on CPM, and you're only being paid on performance, and you post 10 videos, you don't see any results, or you see mediocre results, then you might just take a week off and you're like, oh no, I don't want to do this anymore because I'm not being paid to show up. I'm only being paid on views. If I'm not feeling like doing it, I don't have to do it. So that leads to posting inconsistency. So 2 of the biggest Cluely pages on Instagram have not posted for like 2 weeks now. And the reason is because they're being paid on performance. So they don't have to post if they don't want to. Especially social media, it's very, very important to be consistent. Especially if you're getting momentum with these accounts, you have to keep consistent and you have to keep posting. Inconsistency is a very, very big problem. And then low quality edits as well. If you're being paid on CPM, there's no quality standard that you have to meet. So you could create the shittiest edits you want and post them. And if they get views, you get paid, but it's also not good for brand. I've seen so many Clearly vids made with Opus Clip, and from that it just gives me a low quality perception of Clearly, because the edits just look really, really bad. Like if you go look at, if I take you here now, like this looks good. Like this is like aesthetically pleasing. This one as well, this is from the same edit, as you can see, same title style and same captions. That makes me perceive Clearly in a high quality and in a good way. But if I see this just looks so bad. And I've seen so many clips like this across social media about Clearly in like this very cheap style that makes them look very, very low quality. It just hinders the brand and the perception of the brand. Now, obviously if it leads to views and they don't care about their brand and they only care about views, then it's all good. Like then it doesn't matter. But if they do care a bit more about brand and their brand perception, they should definitely focus on it a bit more so that they're not putting out these very, very low quality edits. And then also high editor churn. So this is something I also face, which is a big headache, is when editors are paid on a CPM or paid on performance, they can just churn, they can just leave and they can find the next opportunity. Because if you're not familiar with the clipping space, there's so many creators starting their own clipping campaigns that anyone can join and start clipping for. So let's say, for example, one of the clippers who runs one of the big Clearly pages and they're getting good traction, they find a different opportunity, a different shiny object to clip for someone else. Then they can just leave the Clearly clipping team, leave all their progress behind and move on to the next thing. And obviously that's not good, again, with inconsistency. And also what this does is it also creates a very little control as well. Like having control over this whole big Discord server and what content is being put out. If there's like 1,000 people in this Discord server, you can't really control all those people's content and what they're putting out. Like even saw one of their big Clearly accounts. I'll see if I can put it up here while editing. The editor who runs that account is like marketing their own agency in the bio of the account. So it's a Clearly branded account, but in the bio it says this account is managed by, and they're at the agency's Instagram. So through the account that's marketing Clearly, the people who's running it is marketing their own services, which is just completely upside down, and they should definitely take a look at that. Like if I did that for any of our clients, we'd get like instantly fired, because they'll be like, what are you doing? You can't be, these accounts are marketing us and our personal brands. You can't be marketing your own things through our accounts and through our image. That's just completely wrong in my opinion. So the solution is take the best editors and put them on retainer. So take the best guys, find the best guys. If you don't have them now, find the best guys, put them on retainer, but then also add a little performance bonus structure to also incentivize them to perform as well and to get views. Because the big part of the CPM structure is that firstly, you don't risk anything up front because the editors take on all the risk. They only get paid if they perform. But then second, it incentivizes the editors to perform, because that's the only time they're going to get paid. If they get views, they get paid. So that aligns the incentives of both parties. So adding the retainer plus the performance bonus structure combines the best of both worlds, because you're paying the editor on retainer, so you're paying them to be consistent, and you're paying them, for example, to edit 2 videos a day. So you're paying them a retainer to edit 2 videos a day, so they have to edit those 2 videos a day. So, and with paying a retainer, you can also manage the quality, so you can review the videos, and then instead of having high editor churn, you can build a good internal team of editors who are really, really good, and you can just absolutely go to the moon with those guys, because it's like the 80-20 rule. 20% of the guys in the clipping Discord, or maybe even 10% of the guys in the clipping Discord are getting 80% of the results. So leave the guys, the 80% who's getting the 20% of results, and just focus on the top 20% of people who's getting 80% of the results. Put those guys on retainer. If you don't have those guys yet, find those guys, put them on retainer, add a performance bonus structure involved in that as well, because then you're going to be consistently being put out a lot of content. You're still going to be incentivizing the editors to go viral and to get views. And you're not going to have this high editor churn. You're going to be able to control the whole process a lot better. Because personally, I'd rather run a team of 10 people who are really, really good than run a clipping Discord of 1,000 people that are pretty average and each of them get mediocre results. I'd rather have 10 guys who are extremely good and get extremely, extremely good results. So yeah, this is the video. Let me know if that helps. I hope I gave you some good insights on this strategy. And if you got some value from this video, thank you for watching. Cheers.